Guys, where are we? Alright, so, hold on. Just a little bit closer, please. There we go. So, Lost Season 1. I actually wasn't planning on doing this. I was going to take a break until Monday, for Modern Monday, but this happened, and it all happened. So I've been following along with Blind Wave and their reactions for Lost. They were up to see episode 14 of Season 1. Watching the reaction today, I was like, I don't want to wait till next week to see, what goes on with this. I want to keep watching. So I popped in my DVDs, and I've been watching Season 1, and I thought, why not give a little review of this? So here I am, Season 1 of Lost, one of the best shows out there. It's not one of my favorite, but this is a really good show. So, the story now is about the survivors of a plane crash, Oceanic Flight 815. And their experiences on this island. You think, that's gonna be kind of boring. It just people who spot a plane crash on an island. It's Survivor, but not a reality show. Yeah, but they add to that. A lot of Season 1 is a lot of just them on an island trying to survive, arguing and bitching and moaning and complaining with each other over stupid shit, basically. But the characters and the actors make it look good. I won't mention every actor, just certain ones. The survivors there's Jack, played by Matthew Fox, Kate, played by Evangeline Lilly, Sawyer, played by Josh Holloway, Locke, played wonderfully by Terry O'Quinn, Sun, her husband Jin, played by Daniel Dae Kim. I don't remember her name, that's why I don't. Michael, played by, I don't remember his name, and it's his son Walt. Hurley, Charlie, played by Dominic Monaghan. Claire, played by Emily DeRaven. Boone, played by Damon Salvatore himself, Ian Somerhalder, and his stepsister Shannon, played by Maggie Grace, and Saeed. Each of them have their own kind of past and history, and we see that in the flashbacks during the show. Jack was a surgeon, Kate was a fugitive, Sawyer was a con man, Locke was paralyzed and now can walk. Sun and Jin Sun is the daughter of Jin's boss, and Jin was basically a hitman for him. Michael was an unexpected father. Now he has to take care of his son because his ex-wife, the boss mom has passed away. So now, and the stepdad wants nothing to do with the kid, so it passes on to Michael, so he has to take care of him. And you can see that throughout the season that he really just wants to be a good father. There's Hurley, who won the lottery with certain numbers. I don't remember the numbers. I don't want to say them on here. They're cursed numbers. But those numbers haunt Hurley, and they cost him some. They says they're cursed, which even leads to something that is ridiculous this time I watched it. We'll get to it, hopefully. Charlie is a former rock star who was addicted to heroin, and throughout the season you get to see his journey of coming clean of that, even though it sort of ends on a note like, oh, he has this, so what is he going to do with it? Claire is a pregnant teenager. I believe is over 18 because her and Charlie had a thing, so I'm hoping she's over 18. I think she is. But she's pregnant, and so it's a pregnant woman on an island, and how's she going to deal with that? There's Boone, who is this. He's a spoiled rich kid, and his sister's a spoiled rich kid as well. They're step siblings. Their parents got married when they were 8 and 10, and Boone has a thing for Shannon. But there's Saeed. he was in the Republican Guard. And he and Shannon have a little romantic thing. There's also minor characters. There's Rose, who doesn't appear much, even though she was featured. She's featured in the background in a few flashbacks, but she doesn't appear much on the island. I think maybe that's the actress availability. She lost her husband Bernard in the plane crash. He was in the tail section. She believes him to still be alive. That's one of the things. Is like, where like, oh, you want to honor him, and she's like, well, my husband's still alive. There's Arts, who doesn't show up until towards the end of the season, and then gets blown up by Dynamite for some comic relief. And there's Scott and Steve, also comic relief, because no one can remember which one is Scott, which one is Steve. And then Scott blows up, I think. Yeah, Scott, he doesn't blow up. Scott, not me, Scott gets murdered by someone else. There's a story where they start, they believe one of them isn't who they say they are, so they start, it's incidentally actually, Hurley starts to take a census so they can get everyone's name and everything, and they find a flight manifest, and they realize that one of them, Ethan, isn't who he says he is. He isn't a survivor, he is someone sent to infiltrate them, and he wants Claire's baby. He kidnaps her, and Claire shows up a few episodes later with amnesia. Charlie, who has fallen in love with Claire, is really gung-ho about making sure that he pays, and he ends up killing Ethan in the end. Just without getting information. But then there is the plight. So Michael decides that they're going to try to, he wants to try to do something to get them off the island. So he starts building a raft so that he can go and try to find someone to help them. In the middle of this, though, it gets burned up. And there's a lot of, one of my biggest problems with this is that, so they find out that Ethan isn't one of them. And their first instinct isn't to try to figure out if there's other people besides him. And they just don't do anything about it. He's killed, and they don't think of searching for other people. They just move on. Even when Michael's thing has set on fire, they don't for once think that it could be someone linked to Ethan. No, Michael goes off on Jin because he and Jin had a misunderstanding where Michael accidentally walked in on Sun topless. So Jin got mad, and they've had problems with each other. So he thinks it's Jin, but it's not Jin, and everybody's arguing because they can't trust each other, they don't know each other that well. And then Locke comes in with a terrific speech about how, he lays it all out for him, There are people out there. There are others out there. Anyone could have done it. Beautiful speech. It's ruined, though, when the very next scene you have Locke walk up to Walt, sit there to play backgammon, and he asks him, why did you set your father's raft on fire? And it's just like, this time watching, I'm like, yeah, that terrific speech he just did. And it's thrown away. But not to them, but still, they don't do anything. They continue to bicker with each other. Boone has an accident where he climbs up to on this cliff, and there's a plane, and he starts to go through it, and he finds that all that's in there is heroin, which, that will affect Charlie going forward, because he was a heroin addict, but he also finds a working radio, and he makes contact with someone. And if you pay attention, especially if you have the subtitles on, he says, we are survivors of Oceanic Flight 815, right? But they respond with, we are survivors of Oceanic Flight 815. They respond with the same thing. You just gotta really pay attention. And that kind of hints towards the next season. And I think that's the problem, is that they didn't want to introduce the others, which is what they're called, until season 2. They wanted to explore that in season 2. So they had to extend the bickering upon the survivors. And I get it. In a situation like this, tensions would be high. People would bicker with each other. Fine. But I think once you've established that Ethan is not one of you and there are others out there, you can't hold back on that. You have to deliver more than just, there could be others out there, and then ignore it for the rest of the season because you don't want to do it this season. Then don't reveal Ethan until the season finale. That could be one of the cliffhangers. You know, someone who's been with you the whole season is not one of you. Have someone find out the manifest at the end. Like, Ethan's been hiding. Oh, it's been Ethan's tent. He's on the list. Ba-boom. Be the end, a cliffhanger. There's a few. Boone dies, and they blame Locke because he lied, because he wanted to hide the hatch, which is what he and Boone were digging. But also, I think he also wanted to hide the plane from Charlie. Earlier on in the season, he was trying to help Charlie kick the habit. He says, you asked me for my free drugs 3 times. Third time, I will give it to you. Third time, he asks for the drugs, and he throws it in the fire. He's done. He gets rid of it. And maybe, he sees this, and that does lead to it, because at the end, you see one of the Virgin Mary statuettes in his bag. So he did grab one, and that leads into season 2. But, yeah. Other than that, though, the flashbacks, for the most part, work. There are certain flashback episodes that just kind of are there. Like, we're giving you exposition of what happened, but it's like, it's not as important as to what's going on in the episode. And that's certain episodes where this is really exciting, something's going on, we cut to a flashback. It's just, this is more. Certain episodes like Locke getting reacquainted with his father, getting scammed by that father, that's a good one. Jack and his father's tensions over his father being drunk and doing a surgery. That's a good one. Sawyer meeting Jack's father in a bar. That's a good one. The last 2 episodes flashbacks are really good because it shows everything leading up to the flight. That's good. Certain ones are good, certain ones aren't. That's why I say 50-50, they work. And the acting is fantastic from everyone around. I just wish, they lean into something with Walt. Not so much here, but in season 2, that there's something going on with him. But I think I'll get more into that in season 2, but that's just like a plot thread that I'm going to pick up in the next season, because it's just like, but in the end of the season, the others show up in the raft, and they kidnap Walt, because the raft, they take the raft, and it's Michael, Jin, Sawyer, and Walt. And the others show up, shoot Sawyer, Jin goes in after him, Michael has to jump, they steal Walt, they blow up the raft, and then the other cliffhanger is them pulling open the hatch and looking inside, and that's how it ends. It's a great ending for the season, leading into what's going to go on. Overall, season 1 is decent. On a scale, I'd say it's maybe a 6. It's decent, probably not the best. But for a starter, it's good. You killed off 1 character, is not coming back. 2, if you count Arzt, and 3, if you count Scott. Poor me. But yeah, it's a pretty decent season, and I can't wait to go forward and do more reviews. So, what are your thoughts on season 1 of Lost? In the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you next time. See you in the next one. You all, everybody!